ओके, ठीक है, ओके। गुड इवनिंग, दीपक सिंह, गौतम, ऋषुराज and others. Clear? We are in Nyaya philosophy and we have completed the first part, that is Asat Karyavad, theory of knowledge, supported by Nyaya and Vaisheshikas, according to which effect doesn't exist in its cause, or in other words, cause doesn't contain effects. And we have given arguments also. In this process, we have even discussed nature and types of cause, features of cause we have seen. Now, see the syllabus. Now, we are going to discuss this particular part. Theory of Pramana. We have already discussed theory of causation. This one is completed. Now we are going to discuss theory of Pramana. And after that, since categories are related to Vaisheshika philosophy, after that I will discuss theory of categories and atomistic theory of creation. So first of all, I am going to explain theory of Pramana. Note down theory of Pramana. Pramana. Praman means Praman. It's a technical term, Praman. Okay, good evening. So first of all, we are going to discuss the term Prama. Antecedent of the effect means always pre-exist before the cause. Antecedent clay always exists before the production of pot. So antecedent means before. Consequent means later on. Antecedent जो पहले आता है, consequent जो बाद में आता है. So always you will find cloud before rain. So cloud is antecedent. Counter entity of its prior non-existence means it means effect. Vikas Kumar Yadav. Counter entity of its prior non-existence. See some points, then I will start this topic. See, pot was not pre-exist in its cause. That is clay. So see, effect is this one is effect. Effect is described as counter entity of its prior non-existence. Here, non-existence of pot, non-existence of pot, according to Asat Karyavad, must be aware. Non-existence of pot in clay, according to Asat Karyavad. And now, as soon as pot is made, it is going to counter its prior non-existence. Now, you are getting pot. If effect is defined as counter entity of its prior non-existence. जो पहले नहीं था, अब now it is coming out. It's a new beginning. अब उसको अब काउंटर कर रहे हो. We are going to counter that absence. Here something is absent, and as soon as effect is produced, you are going to counter that non-existence. Now something new is going to be originated. So effect is defined by Naiyayikas as Prag Bhav Pratyogi. An exact translation is effect is counter entity of its prior non-existence. Pot was not present before in clay before its origin. As soon as pot is made, now it is going to be countered. Clear? Vikas Kumar Yadav. Antecedent means पहले जो आता है. Counter entity means आप इसको जो यहाँ absence है, now you are going to here that is going to be begin, that is going to be originated. New production है pot, new beginning है, new creation है, newness exists here. It is called Arambhavad. It should be clear. That is effect. Okay. Now we are in Pramana Vichar. Pramana Vichar. Praman. It's a technical term. You must be aware. पहले एक शॉर्ट में लिख लो आप. प्रमा, प्रमाण, प्रमाण, प्रमेय and pramata. Technical term, pramata. Pramata means gyata. Gyata means knower. Knower means who finds knowledge. That is known as gyata. आप ऐसे हम ऐसे स्ट्रेट फॉरवर्ड लिख रहे हैं ज्ञाता. और knower, or you may write pramata. प्रमेय, प्रमेय, P-R-A-M-E-Y-A, प्रमेय. Prameya. This is also known as Geya. Geya. And this one is Gyata. Gyo. Gyata. Write directly Pramata or knower you may write. In place of Geya you may write Prameya. Or you may write knowable. Knowable. And this one is knower. Praman means source of valid knowledge. Source of valid cognition. This one is Praman. This one is basically Praman. Praman means source of valid knowledge, source of valid cognition. Or you can say instrument of right knowledge. Instrument of right knowledge. Instrument of valid, source of valid knowledge is source of valid cognition, or instrument of right knowledge. This one is called Praman. And Prama means valid knowledge. Prama means right knowledge. Prama means valid knowledge or valid cognition. So Prama means right knowledge. Praman means source of right knowledge, valid knowledge. Prameya means knowable. And Pramata means knower. So these are the different aspects of knowledge process you must be aware. Knowledge process. In knowledge process, we generally use Prama, Pramal, Prameya. Prameya or Geya. That one is Gyata. Prama. Valid knowledge is called Prama. Source of valid knowledge is called Pramana. Pramata means knower or Gyata. And Geya means knowable or object, you can say. Generally object. Geya, object or knowable. Now see. Right now you are getting knowledge of, क्या बोले? Knowledge of this marker as marker. Imagine this one is a marker. Able to see marker. One such. Or pen you can say. Marker इसको बोलते हैं. Right now you are getting knowledge of this marker. Since you are getting this marker as marker, it means your knowledge is valid knowledge. Right now you are getting valid knowledge. Your knowledge is right knowledge. Since you are getting knowledge of object according to it. It is a marker and you are knowing it as marker. That is called Prama. Prama means valid knowledge. Prama means valid cognition. Sahi Gyan Prama hai. It is defined as Yathartha Anubhava Prama. To find knowledge of object according to it, it is called Prama. To find knowledge of object according to it. According to it. If you are getting knowledge of rope as rope, rope as rope, it means valid knowledge. Snake as snake, snake as snake, this is valid knowledge. Rope as rope, snake and snake. To find knowledge of object according to it, Yathartha Anubhava Prama. Prama means valid. It's a technical term, must be aware. For the last 30 years, once they have asked one question regarding Prama. What do you mean by Prama? Prama means valid knowledge, right cognition, valid cognition. If you are getting knowledge of board as board, wall as wall, snake as snake, rope as rope, that is called प्रमा. जैसी वस्तु है उसका उसी प्रकार से ज्ञान प्रमा है. It's called valid knowledge. Sometimes we find knowledge of object different from it. For example, knowledge of snake in a rope, that is called aprama. Sometimes we find knowledge of snake in a rope or rope in a snake. This is not prama. Prama means valid knowledge. That will be invalid knowledge. Prama means valid cognition. And source to find valid knowledge is known as pramana. Pramana is a technical term. Pramana means source of valid knowledge. Must be aware. And the person who finds knowledge is called knower or pramata. And regarding whom you are getting knowledge, that is known as prameyi or geyi or knowable. So right now, you are getting knowledge of this marker as marker. Board marker as a board marker. So your knowledge is right knowledge. Prama. Which pramana you are taking help? Nayayikas have accepted 4 pramanas. Nyaya. Only Nyaya will write 4 pramanas. Perception, inference, verbal testimony, authority, statements of reliable person. Last one is comparison or upamana. उपमान. प्रत्यक्ष, अनुमान, शब्द और उपमान or comparison, upamana. To see, these are source of valid knowledge. Perception is a pramana. It's a source of valid knowledge. Inference is a pramana, source of valid knowledge. Verbal testimony and upaman are also accepted as pramana. Now see, right now you are getting knowledge of this marker as a marker. It means your knowledge is valid knowledge. You are getting knowledge of that object according to it. You are not accepting this one as a board. You are not accepting this one as a chair or like that. You are not accepting this. You are not accepting this one as a rope. You are getting knowledge of marker as marker. So your knowledge is valid knowledge. And which pramana you are taking help? You are right now you are taking help of perception pramana. Right now you are taking help of perception. Through perception you are getting knowledge of marker as marker. You are basically pramata. And this marker is accepted as prameya. This one is knowable. This marker is in this context. You are gyata. Right now you are taking help of perception pramana. You are getting right knowledge and you are getting knowledge of whom? You are getting knowledge of marker, as marker. So your knowledge will be accepted as right knowledge. Right now you are taking help of perception pramana. You are gyata. This marker is accepted as geya. This one is knowable. This one is an object. It has existence outside from your mind, really exists outside from your mind, and you are getting perception of that one. So you are knower, this one is knowable. You are taking help of perception and you are getting right knowledge. Yes or no? It should be clear. So prama means valid knowledge. Source of valid knowledge is called pramana. अपने सिलेबस में प्रमाण है, ध्यान रखना. Valid knowledge is called prama and source of valid knowledge is called pramana. Instrument of right knowledge is called pramana. Source of valid knowledge cognition you can say. It should be clear. Charvakas have accepted only one pramana. Only perception, rejected all others. Now Jainism pramana vichar was not discussed. Although accepted 3 pramana Jaina philosophers. But since in syllabus not prescribed, that's why we have not discussed. In Buddhist philosophers have accepted only 2 pramanas. In Buddhist epistemology is not outrightly prescribed. Buddhist theory of pramanas not prescribed. Although Buddhism has accepted 2. Sankhya have accepted 3, but in syllabus only metaphysics described, epistemology not described in Sankhya philosophy. That's why we have not discussed Sankhya's theory of knowledge or pramana vichar, etc. Even in yoga philosophy, theory of knowledge is not prescribed according to our syllabus. इसलिए हमने डिस्कस नहीं किया सांख्य में, योगा में, जैनिज्म में. राइट नाउ हियर डायरेक्टली यू विल फाइंड थियरी ऑफ प्रमाणा, ऐसा टॉपिक है. एंड नैयायिका हैव एक्सेप्टेड 4 काइंड्स ऑफ प्रमाणाज. No need to write Nyaya basis. Basisika has accepted only 2, must be aware. Nayayikas have accepted 4. Nayayikas have done very good work regarding theory of knowledge. So आपको alert रहना है. So he was right now I am saying something and you are getting knowledge. So this one is called verbal testimony. Verbal testimony is also a source of valid knowledge. Inference is also a source of valid knowledge. Comparison is also a source of valid knowledge. We will discuss one by one all those things. So it should be clear first of all. Aprama means invalid knowledge. Aprama. Invalid. For example, knowledge of snake in a rope. This one is aprama. Different kinds of apramas are also accepted. Clear? सारे लोग बोलो clear. पहले बोलो उसके बाद आगे बढ़ेंगे. Part by part. Is it clear? सारे लोग बोलो. Is it clear? अखिलेश यादव, आशीष तमांग. In our syllabus, Pramana Vichar is described. We are going to discuss Pramana Vichar directly. Pramana Vichar. What is Pramana Vichar? Clear? You must be aware, in Nyaya philosophy, 4 kinds of pramas. Prama is not prescribed outrightly. This one is prescribed pramala. And 4 kinds of pramalas are also accepted. Must be aware. 4 kinds of valid knowledge. And to find that valid knowledge, 4 kinds of pramalas, source of valid knowledge are accepted. 4 kinds of source of valid knowledge. 4 types of pramas are also. Valid knowledge is of 4 types. Prama is accepted as of 4 types. Why since 4 kinds of pramalas are accepted? Yes or no? Now one by one. Theory of pramana. So in this process, first of all, we are going to discuss perception, then inference, then verbal testimony, and finally conclude comparison. I think once or twice in the last 30-40 years, they have asked questions regarding pramana. अगर यही क्वेश्चन आ जाए, explain theory of pramana of न्याय philosophy, ये बहुत लेंदी सवाल बनेगा. 60 marks का क्वेश्चन बनना चाहिए अगर ऐसा बनेगा. Right now they are not asking questions like that. प्रमाणा विचार पे देख लो एक बारगी. Otherwise they will ask perception, inference, verbal testimony, part of that one. Once they have asked even question regarding in 2004 once question was asked while giving an introduction to pramanas after the Nyaya system, according to Nyaya system, discuss the various kinds of anumana, types of anumana, giving an introduction to the pramanas, introduction to pramanas. 2004 में था, उस समय 60 मार्क्स का यह क्वेश्चन था, खूब लिखने का स्कोप था. 10 मार्क्स में प्रमाणा विचार डिफिकल्ट था टू summarize those things in short. 96 में क्वेश्चन था, सी examine the Nyaya theory of pramanas in the light of Buddhist criticism of it. Buddhists have accepted only 2, so they have refuted Nyayika's notion of pramana vichar. How Buddhists have refuted? At that time, syllabus was also quite different. So right now we are going to discuss pramana of Nyayika's. Theory of pramana. Introduction लिखोगे. Introduction. Intro. और प्रिंटेड नोट से वैल्यू एडिशन करोगे बस. नो नीड टू मूव एनी अदर प्लेस, सफिशियंट है जितना मैटर दे दिया है. दे आर ऑल्सो नोन एज सेम थिंग. Perception is a pramana, and the knowledge which we find through perception is also called perception, also known as pratyaksh. Pratyaksh is prama and pramana both. Anuman is a source of valid knowledge. Anuman is a pramana, and knowledge which we find through anuman is known as anumiti, A-N-U-M-I-T-I. Anumiti. Anuman is a pramana, source of valid knowledge. And the knowledge which we find through Anuman Pramal is called Anumiti, A-N-U-M-I-T-I. Anumiti. Printed notes देख लोगे. Rishuraj. And such kind of things are very, very important, especially those who are going to write BPSC. वहाँ का ये पेट क्वेश्चन है, प्रमा और अप्रमा और प्रमा प्रमाण. हर एक साल घुमा फिरा के पूछता है. In BPSC. In BPSC. Not everywhere. Here, okay. Next, introduction. Note down. According to Nyaya, valid knowledge is called prama. बिल्कुल आया है, अग्रसर रहा है. एक ही बार नहीं, 66 कई बार आया है अग्रसर. So many times, and I will explain prama once in detail in Mimamsa philosophy. Since Mimamsa philosophy we have to study theory of knowledge, तो वहां प्रमा को हम डिटेल से चले जाएंगे. यहाँ डायरेक्ट प्रमाण विचार इज प्रेस्क्राइब्ड. So we are going to discuss pramana a lot, although prama also in short I have discussed. Here we will write features of prama, types of prama in Mimamsa. Since in Mimamsa theory of knowledge must be our aggression, तो हम वहां पे थोड़ा इसके बारे में डिटेल में चले जाएंगे. Here we have written only few lines. Note down. According to Nyaya, valid knowledge is called prama, and source of valid knowledge is called pramana. And source of valid knowledge, valid cognition is called pramana. Second point. Nayayikas have accepted 4 kinds of pramana. What are those pramanas? Perception, inference, verbal testimony, and comparison. Perception, inference, verbal testimony, and comparison. 4 kinds of pramanas are accepted by them. Clear? Now main structure we are going to write. अगर प्रमाणा आ जाए तो you have to write all these pramanas. Now we are going to discuss first of all perception. Block में main structure perception. Now we are going to write perception. Definition of perception, types of perception, comparison with others, philosophical system, etc. Perception. Perception is accepted as an important pramana, that is source of valid knowledge. Perception is accepted as perception is an important pramana, that is source of valid knowledge. It is accepted as the first pramana. Perception. Clear? Now, second point, perception. Second point, definition. Definition of perception. What do you mean by perception? Definition. In front of that definition, note down Gautam. Bracket में old Nayayik. Old Nyaya. Father of old Nyaya. Gautam. In his book, Nyaya Sutra. N-Y-A-Y-A. Nyaya Sutra. In his book, Nyaya Sutra, Gautam, which is accepted as propounder of Nyaya philosophy, old Nyayic basically, old Nyaya. Gautam has defined the term perception as, now next page, here. Introduction, 2-3 lines. Perception is an important pramana, that means source of valid knowledge. Perception is defined by Gautam in his book Nyaya Sutra as, अब इसको डेफिनेशन लिखने जा रहे हैं, गौतमास डेफिनेशन. आप एक ही बात, जो इसके बॉस है, founder of Nyaya philosophy, that is Gautam. Gautam has defined the term perception as, in Nyaya Sutra it is defined by him. He said, इंद्रियात् सन्निकर्षोत्पन्नम ज्ञानम अव्यपदेश अव्यभिचारी विवशात्मकम प्रत्यक्षम. संस्कृत में है, डरना नहीं है, मैं उसको तोल कर एक एक अलग अलग कर रहा हूं. ठीक है. इंद्रियात् सन्निकर्षोत्पन्नम ज्ञानम अव्यपदेश अव्यभिचारी विवशात्मकम प्रत्यक्षम. जस्ट आई एम गोइंग टू राइट फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल इन हिंदी, देन इंग्लिश ट्रांसलेशन, देन उसको ब्रेक कर देंगे. देखो, इट्स नॉट नीडेड टू मग अप संस्कृत लाइन्स, बट इट विल बिकम इजी टू अंडरस्टैंड ईच एंड एवरीथिंग. एकदम ओरिजिनल जो सोर्स है उससे हम लोग ले रहे हैं अभी. इन विच में इट इज डिफाइंड. इंद्रियार्थ सन्निकर्षोत्पन्नम ज्ञानम अव्यपदेश ज्ञानम अव्यपदेश्य अव्यभिचारी व्यवसात. हिंदी में देवनागरी स्क्रिप्ट में नहीं लिखना है, बट जस्ट आई एम गोइंग टू राइट अगेन, आई विल राइट इन रोमन स्क्रिप्ट. व्यवसायात्मकम प्रत्यक्षम. You will take help of printed notes. Indriyat sannikarsham means indriye plus artha. Indriyat, A-R-T-H. Indriye means sense organs. Sense organ. Arth means object. Sense organs object. सन्निकर्ष उत्पन्नम. सन्निकर्ष प्लस उत्पन्नम, तो सन्निकर्ष उत्पन्नम. उत्पन्नम. सन्निकर्ष मीन्स कॉन्टैक्ट. उत्पन्नम मीन्स ओरिजिनेटेड. उत्पन्न हुआ है, कॉन्टैक्ट. सन्निकर्ष कॉन्टैक्ट हुआ, ओरिजिनेटेड. उत्पन्न मतलब ओरिजिनेट. सन्निकर्ष उत्पन्नम. सन्निकर्ष उत्पन्नम. ज्ञानम मीन्स ज्ञानम मतलब नॉलेज. ज्ञानम. अव्यपदेश. अव्यपदेश, इट्स ए टेक्निकल टर्म. अव्यपदेश, इट मीन्स indeterminate knowledge. Indeterminate means not associated with a name. Not associated with a name. Known as अव्यपदेश्य. अव्यभिचारी. संस्कृत को सीधे सीधे यू मे राइट इन रोमन स्क्रिप्ट, नो प्रॉब्लम. अव्यभिचारी मीन्स नॉन इरोनियस, फ्री फ्रॉम एरर. नॉन इरोनियस, फ्री फ्रॉम एरर. नॉन इरोनियस. अव्यभिचारी. व्यवसायात्मकम मीन्स वेल डिफाइंड. प्रत्यक्ष मीन्स प्रत्यक्ष. perception. See, sense organs, object, contact, originated knowledge is perception, which is not associated with a name, not non-erroneous and well defined. So if definition of Gautam, original definition दे रहे हो, how the term perception is defined by Gautama, the founder of Nyaya philosophy. He said perception is a pramana which is originated due to contact between sense organ and object. Perception, a kind of pramana which is originated to the contact between sense organ and objects, which is accepted as not associated with a name. These are the features. It means indeterminate, non-erroneous, and well-defined. This one is the definition of perception given by Gautam in his book Nyaya Sutra. देखो आप यहाँ इतना इसमें लिखा हुआ है पर्याप्त है, इसके अलावा मत सफिशिएंट है. Here valid knowledge is also written. What do you mean by valid knowledge? जितना मैंने बताया, now here that one is explained. Here Aprama is also written. Perception or pratyaksh. Gautam in his Nyaya Sutra has defined perception as इंद्रियार्थ सन्निकर्षोत्पन्नम ज्ञानम अव्यपदेश्य अव्यभिचारी व्यवसायात्मकम प्रत्यक्षम. And what's the translation? It means what it means. It means perception is the knowledge. Perception is knowledge which is produced by the intercourse of an object with a sense organ, or contact between sense organ and object, which is non-erroneous, not associated with a name, or not associated with a name, and is well defined. This definition mentions the different factors involved in the act of perception. See here, Indriye, we have used the term Indriye, Arth, Sannikals, Utpannam, Jnanam, and these are the three other parts. Indriye, Arth, Indriye means sense organs, object, contact. Perception is a Jnana, which is originated due to the contact between sense organ and object. And what are those three features? यहाँ पे three features भी मिल जाएगा. What are those things? Three important features of that one. Here itself it is written. It is written non-erroneous, avyabhichari, not associated with a name, अव्यपदेश्य, ध्यान रखना, and is well defined, व्यवसायात्मकम. Well defined means व्यवसायात्मकम. What we have written. Perception is a knowledge. Perception is a knowledge which is originated due to contact between sense organ and object, which is accepted as not associated with a name. अव्यपदेश पहले है, अव्यभिचारी, non-erroneous, and well defined. आप पीएचडी कर लोगे कोई चेंज नहीं कर पाओगे, प्रोफेसर हो जाओगे यही लाइन को लिखोगे. बाउंड टू राइट सेम थिंग. एक बार कि इस पे सवाल जा चुका है, ये आगे देखेंगे. तो नाउ नोट डाउन. Gautam has defined the term perception as perception is a knowledge which is originated due to contact between sense organ and object. And what's the features? That must be not associated with a name, non-erroneous, and well defined. First of all, note down that one. You may take help of printed notes. Well defined को here indeterminate लिखो ना. You may write here determinate perception. Determinate. Well defined means determinate. Determinate. and abhyapadesh means indeterminate, not associated with a name. And now here you are saying well defined, or determinate. Here indeterminate, here determinate, must be aware. Here well not associated with a name, here well defined. And perception must be abhyabhichari, non-erroneous. इंद्रियात् सन्निकर्षोत्पन्नम ज्ञानम अव्यपदेश अव्यभिचारी व्यवसायत्मकम प्रत्यक्षम प्रत्यक्षम, ध्यान रखना. And see here, overall pratyaksham, three technical terms are used: abhyapadesh, abhyabhichari, vyavasyatmakam. Abhyabhichari means non-erroneous must be available. ये मीनिंग यहाँ पे है, नॉन इरोनियस. अव्यपदेश्य मीन्स not associated with a name. This one is the meaning of that one. And vyavasyatmakam means well defined, it should be clear. Now you can explain that one. Yes, sense or indriya means six sense organs, arth means object, contact means sannikals means contact, the contact of senses is with their objects, that is sannikals. Jnana means knowledge, cognition produced by this contact, that is known jnana. Perception is a kind of jnana which is originated due to the contact of the sense with their object. Indriya and arth means object, which is well defined, not associated with a name, and non-erroneous. Must be. Is it clear? पहले बोलो definition बोलो. पहले बोलो प्रॉब्लम बोलो. Is it clear? Perception. See, in printed notes, I have given this particular part also. देखो, here it is written. वर्स्ट कंडीशन के लिए, फॉर वर्स्ट कंडीशन. सी, इन न्याय फिलॉसफी, सन्निकल्स मीन्स कॉन्टैक्ट. Possible to ask new question on this particular part. Sannikals is of 6 types, and those 6 types are written here. अगर होगा तो first time होगा, neither in IAS nor in anywhere in PCS. This question has been asked. तो कभी नया सवाल मिल सकता है. एक्सप्लेन सन्निकल्स, इसी पे. सन्निकल्स मीन्स कॉन्टैक्ट. सो फार एज कॉन्टैक्ट बिटवीन सेंस ऑर्गन्स विथ ऑब्जेक्ट इज नॉट गोइंग टू बी अकर, परसेप्शन नॉट पॉसिबल. फॉर परसेप्शन कॉन्टैक्ट इज मस्ट. Right now your sense organs are coming into contact with marker, that's why you are getting knowledge of this marker, you are getting perception. For perception contact is must, sannikals is must. And how many types of contact? 6 kinds of contact. इसको याद करना पड़ेगा. संयोग, संयुक्त समवाय, संयुक्त समवेत समवाय, समवाय, समवेत समवाय, and विशेषण विशेष्य भाव contact. Last. Total 6 kinds of contacts are there. यहाँ पे स्टार देके छोड़ दो. And we will discuss this one certainly in detail. 6 को. We'll discuss this one also. Sanyog must be aware, and I will discuss Samvaya also. 1, 4, and 6 we will discuss different places in detail. Just remember this 6, and we will discuss this one in detail. First 4 and the last one. Visheshan, Vishesya, Bhava, contact. Overall 6 kinds of contacts. For example, see, Sanyog. कंजंक्शन, संयोग और कंजंक्शन. ये देखो, संयोग और कंजंक्शन. जैसे इमेजिन ये जार है, इमेजिन दिस वन इज ए पॉट, जार, जार का जार भी बोल, इमेजिन your eyes are coming into contact with pot or this jar. यहाँ जार लिखा हुआ है तो जार लिख दो, किसी से मान। सो दिस वन इज कॉल्ड संयोग कॉन्टैक्ट, संयोग और कंजंक्शन। राइट नाउ योर आईज आर कमिंग इनटू कॉन्टैक्ट विथ जार और यू कैन से पॉट। So this one is संयोग contact, contact between eyes and object. Second type of contact. First type of contact, संयोग. Right now your eyes are coming into contact with this marker. This one is it's a marker. So this one is संयोग संबंध, संयोग contact, संयोग conjunction is going on. But see, second point, you are not getting only mere knowledge of marker, but you are also your eyes are coming into contact with not only with marker, but you are getting one more knowledge, that is black marker. Not getting marker only. So what kind of relation between black and this marker? You can't separate blackness from this marker. Inherent hai. So that second one is known as संयुक्त समवाय. Example, when we see color or shape of the substance jar, the quality does not come in contact with the sense, but it inheres in the substance jug, which is in contact with our eyes. This one is a black marker. It is a black marker. पहला लिखोगे it is a jar, संयोग. Second one is it is a black jar. It means कि संयोग, संयुक्त समवाय. तीन अलग से देख लेंगे. It's a highly, एक तो हाईली कॉम्प्लेक्स है, आज तक कभी आया नहीं है, नो वेयर सो फार इन द लास्ट 30-40 ईयर्स, नीदर इन आईएएस नॉर इन पीसीएस. जिस साल क्वेश्चन टीचर ने इस पे टिका दिया, मास लेवल पे लोगों को ऊपर से निकलेगा, ये 10 नंबर तो उनका खत्म हो जाएगा. अगर कॉन्टैक्ट पे कभी सवाल पूछ लिया तो कॉन्टैक्ट, सन्निकस प्लेज वेरी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट रोल इन परसेप्शन. So far as sense organs and object contact is not going to be occur, not possible to find knowledge. Contact is must. And how many types of contact possible between sense organs and object? 6 types of contacts. Sense object contact is of 6 kinds. संयोग, संयुक्त समवाय, संयुक्त समवेत समवाय, समवाय, and last one is समवेत समवाय, and last one is विशेषण विशेष्य भाव contact. And I will discuss this one in detail. 1, 4 and 6 different places you will find in detail. और अदरवाइज लिख लो, स्टार दे लो. अगर नया होगा तो पॉसिबल हो सकता है इस पॉइंट पे. लास्ट ईयर तक मैं ये कहता था कि अगर इफ न्यू क्वेश्चन इज पॉसिबल इन न्याय फिलोसफी, नाउ ओनली 3-4 प्लेसेज आर लेफ्ट वेयर न्यू क्वेश्चन पॉसिबल टू आस्क. इट इज वन ऑफ देम. Otherwise, teachers will become bound to ask previous year's question. इतना क्वेश्चन पूछा जा चुका है. They are bound to ask with some sort of modification. कर लेंगे इधर से उधर. कहाँ नया बन सकता है? If new, तो here possibility to ask new question. 6 kinds of contacts. और आसान नहीं होगा लिखना. Without having proper knowledge, not possible to write single line properly. सिंगल लाइन में बोल रहा हूँ, ज़्यादा लाइन नहीं. 1-2 साल जो पढ़ा होगा उससे बोलोगे व्हाट डू मीन बाय कॉन्टैक्ट, नॉट मोर देन 1 लाइन. कॉन्टैक्ट मीन्स सन्निकर्ष मीन्स कॉन्टैक्ट, एंड आफ्टर दैट मामला गोल. ठीक है, क्लियर? तो प्रिंटेड नोट से लोगे, बता देंगे फिर भी रटना पड़ेगा. दीपक सिंह, इतना मजा आ रहा है कि अब थर्ड वाला ही बता दे. उड़ा देता तो मैं, हटा देता तो. ये थोड़ा है कॉम्प्लेक्स. आया नहीं है, आ जाएगा तो फिर कहो कि नहीं इन्होंने चर्चा किया था. जैसे इतना कॉम्प्लेक्स है ना, वेरी डिफिकल्ट टू एक्सप्लेन दोस टाइप्स ऑफ थिंग्स. सी, फर्स्ट हमने देख लिया. अच्छा, Third one is संयुक्त समवेत समवाय. Third one is. अब देखो, first of all, your eyes are coming into contact with jar. तो pot. So this is a pot. This is a pot. तो ये हो गया संयोग. Direct your eyes are coming into the pot. You are saying pot. Now you are saying that this one is a red pot. Red pot है तो ये हो गया second one. संयुक्त समवाय. ये redness is associated with this one. In here in pot, you are not getting only perception of pot, but you are getting knowledge of red pot. And what kind of relation between red and pot? You can't separate red with pot. So between red and pot, samvaya relation is there. Samvaya. Samvaya. Samvaya means inherence. Can't separate. Samvaya means inseparable relation. Inseparable relation. That is called samvaya. It is samvaya means inherent. Inhere. Can't separate. You can't separate blackness from this marker. Otherwise, it will destroy. You can't separate. You can't separate. If you try to separate, certainly one will destroy. Must be aware. Samvaya means inseparable relationship. You can't separate redness from pot. Can't separate redness from pots. That is called samvaya. We have to discuss samvaya in detail. दो 2022 का सवाल है जो अभी 20 जनवरी को पूछा है, ये 16 जनवरी को. इज इनसेपरेबिलिटी दैट इज अयुत सिद्ध. अयुत सिद्ध देखो यहाँ समवाय दिया है. समवाय इनहेरेंस मीन्स इनसेपरेबिलिटी. अयुत सिद्ध in संस्कृत is a necessary condition or a sufficient condition for defining characteristics lakshana explained with reference in two Vaisheshika philosophy. So Vaisheshika we will discuss samvaya in detail. Samvaya means inherence. It's a kind of inseparable relation. Okay, now must be. So in 2000, this question was asked. 2021. Now, थर्ड वन का ही तो हिंट दे देते हैं. कहाँ गया थर्ड वन? थर्ड वन संयुक्त समवेत समवाय. Here also समवाय. Now, see, if you are getting knowledge of pot, it is a pot. First one. Second one, you are getting knowledge of red pot. Second one, this one is the knowledge of red pot. And what kind of relation between red and pot? It's inseparable. You can't separate redness from pot. So first one is samvaya, sanjog. Second one is sanjukta samvaya. You are getting knowledge of. Now third one is you are not only getting red pot, must be in all red objects you will find redness. You will not only find a red object, you are also getting its common essential quality that is called redness. So you are getting knowledge of red pot with redness. Redness भी है. Redness is the common essential quality of all red objects. Redness, that is called universal element in all redness. In all men, manness. In all red objects, redness. You were also getting redness. So Sanjukt Samvet Samvaya, you will write even this one also. We find knowledge of port along with redness. Since in all red objects we find redness. This one is the third one. आयुष गौतम रियली कॉम्प्लिकेटेड क्यों मैंने कहा कॉम्प्लिकेटेड है तभी तो बोल रहे हैं कुछ अग्रसर राज और कुछ लोगों ने कहा थोड़ा समझा दीजिए तो समझा रहा हूं अदरवाइज ऊपर से निकल जाएगा पढ़ने से समझ में आएगा नहीं एंड इजी टू राइट 3 फर्स्ट वन आई विल डिस्कस इन डिटेल फोर्थ वन एंड सिक्स्थ वन तो केवल इसको रट लो मगअप कर लो संयोग संयुक्त समवाय संयुक्त समवेत समवाय समवाय संयुक्त समवाय एंड लास्ट वन इज विशेषण विशेष्य भाव समवेत समवाय एंड लास्ट वन इज विशेषण विशेष्य भाव सन्निकर्ष so I will discuss this one in detail 3-4 lines okay clear next ज़्यादा रिसर्च नहीं तो एकदम कॉम्प्लेक्स हो जाएगा ये है थोड़ा पार्ट न्यू को अगर टीचर को आ जाए कि नहीं एकदम टफ सवाल बनाना है तो यहाँ टफ कर सकता है और अदरवाइज फॉर द लास्ट सो मेनी इयर्स दे हैव नॉट आस्क्ड एनी क्वेश्चन रिगार्डिंग कॉन्टैक्ट सी देखो कैसे in 2017 one question was asked explain the early Nyaya definition of perception early Nyaya old Nyaya there's definition of perception इंद्रियात सन्निकर्षोत्पन्नम ज्ञानम अव्यपदेश अव्यविचारी विवशयात्मकम 5 नंबर का होगा 5 में 5 आ जाए आउट ऑफ 5 पीएचडी करोगे इतना ही लिखोगे प्रोफेसर बन जाओगे इतना ही लिखोगे व्हाई दिस डेफिनेशन इज कंसिडर्ड इनएडिक्वेट by the later Nyayika. So we are going to write this one. We have discussed so far as old Nyaya or early Nyaya. ठीक है ओके नेक्स्ट क्लियर कॉम्प्लिकेटेड है याद कर लो कम से कम नोट डाउन प्रोसेस ऑफ इन्फरेंस प्रोसेस ऑफ परसेप्शन डेफिनेशंस वी हैव डिस्कस्ड नाउ प्रोसेस ऑफ परसेप्शन हाउ प्रोसेस ऑफ परसेप्शन इज कंप्लीटेड so note down soul come into contact with mind external sense organ it is internal sense organ external sense organs are of 5 types now external objects is their independent existence separate plus independent existence from knower that's why realism object had its own separate and independent existence from knower separate and independent existence from knower realism so when our external sense organs come into contact with external objects and if it is connected with mind and mind is in contact with soul so soul is accepted as knower so soul finds knowledge of external object soul finds knowledge of external objects when external objects find when external organs are in contact with external sense organs are in contact with mind and mind is in contact with soul then only possible to find knowledge soul finds knowledge soul is knower and it finds knowledge when we find knowledge through perception, when if your eyes are in contact, for example, your eyes are in contact with object and your eyes are in contact with mind and mind is in contact with soul, then soul finds knowledge. कई बार if eye, your external sense organs are coming into contact with, are in contact with external objects, and if mind is absent, soul can't find knowledge of external object. ये जरूरी है वहीं पे ही. Sometimes our eyes are in contact with any object, but if mind is not present there, if mind is somewhere else, soul unable to find any knowledge of that object. Must be. उसको मत जाओ. दीपक सिंह, मैं मना करता हूं, 1, 3 और 6 को लिख दोगे बहुत होगा. जितने में याद कर लोगे ना, उतना समझने में उतनी बुद्धि लगा दोगे. कुछ कंडीशंस ऐसे हैं कई जगहों पे पॉसिबल टू अंडरस्टैंड, बट अल्टीमेटली यू विल बिकम बाउंड टू मग अप बेसिकली. देन वल यू विल मेंटेन दैट वन जस्ट बिफोर द एग्जाम. तो उसको रट लो. मैं जो बोल रहा हूं तो मेंटेन कर लो. एक लाइन का एग्जाम्पल है, एंड टू एक्सप्लेन वन लाइन एटलीस्ट 10 to 15 लाइन्स यू हैव टू, आपको कंसीडर करना पड़ेगा. तो कई जगहों पे जो एक लाइन लगता है इसको रट के लिख देंगे, लिख दो, रट के क्या दिक्कत है. मोस्ट ऑफ द प्लेसेस ये थोड़ा कॉम्प्लेक्सिटी है, एंड अदरवाइज जस्ट रिमेंबर 6, एक्सप्लेन 3 इन डिटेल. फर्स्ट, सेकंड, थर्ड देख लिया, समवाय अभी देखेंगे, लास्ट वन आई विल डिस्कस इन डिटेल. तब बहुत होगा. लोग 6 को तो लिख ही नहीं पाएंगे मैक्सिमम लोग. बहुत सारे लोग नहीं लिख पाएंगे. 6 अनेबल टू राइट. आप 6 लिखो, उसमें 3 को 4 को एक्सप्लेन कर दो डिटेल में विथ एग्जाम्पल, दैट विल बी सफिशिएंट. तो फॉर कंप्लीटिंग प्रोसेस ऑफ परसेप्शन, सोल contact with mind, mind is contact with external sense organ, then we find perception of external objects. When soul find perception of external objects, when everything is in this particular, then soul finds perception of external objects. Should be clear. Clear? सारे लोग बोलो clear. Clear. बोलो clear. Now, main structure. Limitations of definition. This definition. What are the limitations of this definition? Limitations of definition. Definition given by Gautam. इसमें limitation है. It is said by him, perception is a knowledge which is originated due to contact between sense organs and object. So critics have said that in this definition, different kinds of problems come out. What are those problems, limitations? So note down first limitation. Limitation. First point. This definition is too wide. Too wide. In which sense too wide? Note down. Too wide. Gautama's definition of perception is also applicable to inference, verbal testimony, etc. Gautama's definition of perception is also applicable to inference, verbal testimony, etc. Since in other pramanas also, too, sense object contact is required. In other pramanas also, or in other pramanas too, sense object contact is required. देखो, जो परसेप्शन का डेफिनेशन दिया गौतम ने, गौतमा's definition of perception, So this definition of perception is not outrightly implied for this perception only. You can apply this definition even for inference, verbal testimony also. Since in other pramanas, inference, etc., sense object contact is required. So definition of perception is too wide. Too wide means perception को तो define करता ही है, but it is applicable to inference also. It is applicable upon verbal testimony also. It's a problem of this definition. Its definition is too wide. First point clear. Second point, too narrow. In one sense too wide, in one sense too narrow. In which sense too narrow? बहुत limited भी है. See, perception, definition of perception indicates that perception is a knowledge which is originated through contact between sense organs and object. Sense object contact is required. But if we accept definition of this perception, unable to explain perception find by yogis and yogi and God. God perceive each and everything without any sense object contact. Yogi and yogi can find knowledge of even remote object without any direct contact with that object. So if we accept definition given by Gautam, unable to explain perception find by a yogi and God. Note down. On the basis of above definition, yogis perception and God's perception can't be, yogis and God's perception can't be defined, can't be explained properly. Yogis perception and God's perception can't be explained properly. We can't explain those things in a proper manner. Clear? It's a too narrow. And third one is even circular fallacy also. Circular fallacy. In which sense circular fallacy? Note down here. Perception is defined on the basis of sense organs and vice versa. Here perception is defined on the basis of sense organs and vice versa. And perception is defined on the basis of sense organs and vice versa. See, in which sense circular fallacy? Three kinds of limitation problems in definition. If it is asked what is perception, so perception is that which we find through sense organs. Perception is defined on the basis of sense organs. And what is sense organs through which we find perception? It's a circular fallacy. Here perception is defined on the basis of sense organs and sense organs are defined on the basis of perception. What is perception? Which we find through sense organ. What is sense organs? Sense organs are those through which we find perception. Circular fallacy. These are the limitations. That's why modification. Modification by neo-nyaya or later nyayikas. Or nabya nyaya. Nabya nyaya. Or later nyayikas have modified this definition. Have modified. एक बस क्वेश्चन इस पे आ चुका है, सेम इसी क्वेश्चन पे. देखो ये 17 में था. Explain the early Gautama's definition of perception. Why this definition is considered inadequate? Three kinds of problem. Too wide, too narrow, circular fallacy. Why this definition is considered inadequate? By the later Nayayikas. Since three kinds of problems come out. And after writing how it is inadequate, we write how later Nayayikas have defined. Later Nayayikas have defined the term. Perception. Is it clear? पहले बोलो सारे लोग. Is it clear? पहले बोल लो एक बार. Is it clear? Now we are going to write. We have written limitations: too wide, too narrow, circular fallacy. Now in which way it is going to be modified by them? लेटर न्यायिका, और यू कैन से नब्बे न्याय, नब्बे न्याय। विश्वनाथ, note down नब्बे न्याय विश्वनाथ defines perception as, now new later on modification of perception, define perception as direct or immediate knowledge of all the cognition which is not derived through the medium or instrument of any other cognition. Note down this one. note down note down. Acharya Vishwanath has defined the term perception as, Acharya Vishwanath, related to Nabbe Nyaya, later Nyaya, defined the term perception as immediate knowledge which is not derived through any other cognition, Jnana Karnakam Jnanam Pratyaksham, it is said by Vishwanath. Perception is a direct knowledge or immediate knowledge not derived through any other cognition. इसी में लिखोगे, ध्यान करना. Here it is notable that for inference, व्याप्ति ज्ञान is required. For inference, व्याप्ति ज्ञान is required. For inference, व्याप्ति ज्ञान is required, comma. For verbal testimony, शब्द प्रमाण, for verbal testimony, knowledge of meaning of the words is required. For verbal testimony, knowledge of the meaning of the words is required. For comparison, knowledge of similarity is required. For comparison, knowledge of similarity is required. Similarity is required. Knowledge of similarity is required. But for perception, no prior knowledge is required. In this sense, it is accepted as direct knowledge. In this sense, it is accepted as direct knowledge. In this sense, perception is accepted as direct knowledge. This definition is applicable for both human as well as divine perception. This definition is applicable for both human as well as divine perception. देखो मैं इसको एक बार फिर से समझा रहा हूं. How Vishwanath has defined it. Vishwanath, later Nyaya. Earlier Nyaya, we have discussed definitions, limitations we have discussed. Vishwanath, Acharya Vishwanath, he has defined the term perception is defined as immediate knowledge. Perception is a kind of immediate knowledge. Perception is an immediate knowledge. Immediate or direct knowledge, you can say. Immediate knowledge, which doesn't require any prior cognition, which does not derive from any other cognition, which doesn't derive from any other cognition. See the definition. ज्ञानाकर्णकम ज्ञानम प्रत्यक्षम. प्रत्यक्ष एक ऐसा ज्ञान है जिसके लिए कोई और ज्ञान जरूरी नहीं है. Perception is a direct knowledge, immediate knowledge, which doesn't require any other knowledge. Now see, if you are going to take help of inference, in process of inference, you are bound to take help of vyapti gyan. Without taking help of vyapti, you can't find knowledge through inference. For inference, this one is required. For verbal testimony, sabd pramana, knowledge of meaning of words is required. Knowledge of meaning of words. Without having knowledge of meaning of words, you can't take help of sabd pramana. For comparison, which I have not discussed so far, for comparison, knowledge of similitude is required. But for perception, nothing is required. Perception, it's a direct knowledge. No prior knowledge is required. No prior knowledge. Nothing is required for finding perception. You can perceive anything without having any knowledge. But for taking help of inference, you are bound to take help of vyapti knowledge. For sabd pramana, right now, must be aware. Right now, I am saying something and you are able to find knowledge. You are getting right now direct, valid knowledge. Right now, you all are getting valid knowledge. And right now, you are taking help of sabd pramana. But why you are able to find knowledge right now? Since you all are quite aware with the meaning of the English terms or English words. That's why you are able to find knowledge. So you can take help of sabd pramana only when if you are aware with the knowledge of meaning of the words. Right now, if I will speak French, and if you are not aware with the meaning of French words, at that time, you will find only auditory perception. हमारे शब्द का कांटेक्ट होगा आपके ईयर के साथ. Contact between ear and words. That's all. Must be aware. So in this way, sabd pramana is different from auditory perception. Auditory perception, no prior knowledge is required. Perception doesn't require any prior knowledge. But for inference, this knowledge, vyapti knowledge, for sabd pramana, knowledge of meaning of the words, for comparison, this one is required. But perception is an immediate knowledge, direct knowledge. It doesn't require any other knowledge. It doesn't derive from any other knowledge. Inference derived from vyapti gyan. Sabd pramana requires this one. Comparison requires this one. Perception is a direct knowledge. This one is the modification. It's a direct knowledge. It is defined by Gangesh as pratyakshasya sakshatkaritvam lakshanam. Perception is a direct knowledge. आप किसी को भी परसीव कर सकते हो perception without having any knowledge. कई बार हम जाते हैं चुपचाप देख के वापस आ जाते हैं. Doesn't demand any prior cognition. Should be clear. थोड़ा बारीक है, डेप्थ है, epistemology है. And see the question. Excellent marking possible है. ये उस समय भी था, 17 से पहले भी था. Theory of knowledge में हो आप. 2017. Explain the early Nyaya definition of perception. Which of this definition is considered inadequate? Why? 3 kinds of problems. By the later Nyayikas like Vishwanath, Gangesh, etc. And in which way they have defined the term perception. तो right perfect हो जाएगा. 20 नंबर में 15 प्लस से शुरू होगा. हो सकता है 16 मिल जाए, 17 मिल जाए, 18 भी दे सकता है टीचर. Especially in such kind of question. Because you have written all those things in a almost near to perfectness. Perfect हो जाएगा. Early Nyaya original definition. Why inadequate? 3 kinds of fallacies. How later Nyayikas are defined? Name of later Nyayikas, Vishwanath, Gangesh, etc. nature and kinds of प्रत्यक्ष according to Nyaya 1.5. Once 2017 only one. और आईएएस में है क्या? पीसीएस में देखो 2017 91 one question was asked in UPPCS. Analyze the definition of perception and explain with example the classification of perception according to Nyaya. Classification अभी नहीं देखा है हमने. But can you analyze the definition of perception? हमने perception को अच्छे से देख लिया. 2098 perception according to Nyaya. And see in 2020 UPPCS 20 explain the nature and kinds of perception according to Nyaya philosophy. We have just written definition and now we are going to discuss the kinds of perception. You may write what are the features of perception, how we find process of perception, etc. Clear? पहले बोलो. Is it clear? सारे लोग एक बात बोल लो. एक complex part से हम लोग निकले हैं. Is it clear? Is it clear? Is it clear? सारे लोग बोलो. Is it clear? Now, types of perception. Types of perception. Note down. Types of perception. Perception is classified on two grounds. Two grounds. First, on the basis of relation between sense organ and object. Relation between sense organs plus object. What kind of relation is going to be established between sense organ and object? And second one is on the basis of a stage. First stage, second stage, earlier stage, later stage, on the basis of a stage. Perception is of two types. On the basis of relation between sense on object and sense organs and object, perception is of two types. Perception is of two types. First one is perception is of two types. On the basis of sense organ object contact. First one is extraordinary perception. And second one is, पहले लिखोगे ordinary perception. Second one is extraordinary perception. Ordinary perception, how sense organs and objects are coming into contact. What's the nature of that contact? Ordinary perception and extraordinary perception. Ordinary perception, note down. Ordinary perception. Must be aware, when our sense organs come into contact with object in an ordinary way, it is called ordinary perception. And if sense organ object contact is going on an extraordinary way, it is extraordinary perception. It is of three types. सामान्य लक्षण perception, ज्ञान लक्षण perception, and योगज perception. Yogaj. This one is very, very important. Star दे लो, extraordinary perception. और लौकिक प्रत्यक्ष, LAUKIK, अलौकिक और extraordinary perception. अलौकिक ALAUKIK, अलौकिक perception और extraordinary perception. It is of three types: सामान्य लक्षण perception, ज्ञान लक्षण perception, and योगज perception. On the basis of a stage, perception is of two types: indeterminate perception and determinate perception. Here, this one is called a nirvikalpak. निर्विकल्पक, and this one is known as सविकल्पक. ध्यान रखना, यही पार्ट एक थोड़ा अलग लेवल पे जाने लगता है. न्याय फिलॉसफी, इंडियन फिलॉसफी में न्याय एंड मीमांसा, ओवरऑल a lot of discussion you will find, a lot of discussion. घमासान खूब हुआ है बिटवीन न्याय एंड मीमांसा. भले आला दर्जे का डिस्कशन है, हाई क्लास डिस्कशन यू विल फाइंड, सोफिस्टिकेटेड है. पूरे वर्ल्ड में देखोगे तो इस टाइप का डिस्कशन आपको कम दिखाई देगा. सच काइंड ऑफ थिंग्स आर propounded by them. Perception is classified on two grounds: on the basis of relation between sense organ and object. If this relation is going on in ordinary way, this is called ordinary perception. And if this relation is going on in extraordinary way, this is called alaukik or extraordinary perception. It is of three types: Samanya Lakshana perception, Jnana Lakshana perception, and Yogaj perception. On the basis of stage, perception is of two types: indeterminate perception and determinate perception. Indeterminate perception is nirvikalpak pratyaksh, first stage, and this one is the later developed stage, that is called savikalpak perception. On the basis of stages of perception, perception is of two types. स्टेज के बेस पे इनडिटर्मिनेट परसेप्शन, डिटर्मिनेट परसेप्शन. डिटर्मिनेट परसेप्शन मीन्स सविकल्पक. स्टार दे लो इस पे, स्टार दे लो. अगर नया बनेगा तो ये बन सकता है. नॉट आज सो फार डायरेक्टली दे हैव नॉट आस्क्ड एनी क्वेश्चन रिगार्डिंग डिटर्मिनेट एंड इनडिटर्मिनेट. पूछ सकता है एक्सप्लेन नैयायिका's थॉट्स रिगार्डिंग इनडिटर्मिनेट एंड डिटर्मिनेट. न्याय वर्सेस बुद्धिज्म पूछ सकता है. स्टार देकर लिख लो, डेट भी लिख लेना, आगे हो सकता है कब मिल जाए. और सिर्फ इसको आना चाहिए. इसको न्याय बुद्धिस्ट कंट्रोवर्सी रिगार्डिंग परसेप्शन. इट इज अनएसोसिएटेड विथ ए नेम. इट इज वेल डिफाइंड. ध्यान होगा परसेप्शन के डेफिनेशन में है व्यवसायत्मकम अव्यपदेश्य. So the term अव्यपदेश which we have written in that definition, it is immediate perception, first stage. When we find perception of something first of all, that is known as nirvikalpak. It is immediate apprehension. Later developed stage है ये. And see, this definition is written. Overall 6 kinds of differences are written, और ऐसे बांट के लिखा हुआ है. It is unassociated with a name. It is immediate apprehension. It is mere apprehension of some object as something without any characterization. It is devoid of subject-predicate relationship. It is bare awareness. For example, when one is looking at an apple, one's indeterminate perception of the apple consists in one's merely being aware of certain visual senses. जैसे मान लो अब परसेप्शन का स्टेज है, फर्स्ट स्टेज है, लेटर स्टेज है, डिटर्मिनेट सविकल्पक. व्हेन आवर आईज, इमेजिन, थोड़ा समझ लेना तो फिर इसको समझने में आसानी हो. व्हेन आवर आईज आर कमिंग इनटू कांटेक्ट विथ काउ, एन एनिमल. So very beginning you will find mere presence of something. First of all you will not find it is a cow. You will find presence of something. Since यहाँ पे आपका knowledge आया, उसका फोटो बना, so this one is the first. You will find there is something. This one is indeterminate perception. If you will analyze perception minutely, पहले यहाँ कर लो, उसके बाद कर लोगे आप. बिल्कुल. When our sense organ come into contact with cow, first of all you will find impression of that one. We find there is something, and next moment we become able to know this object along with its characteristics. Okay, this one is a white cow, it's a white cow, different with characteristics. So when we find knowledge of object with characteristics, it is sabvikalpak. And very beginning we find mere existence of something without its features. For example, here it is clear sabvikalpak, well defined, clear perception of the object with attributes. With attributes we find. Here we find knowledge of object with attributes, that is determinate. And very beginning, there is something. There is something. It is immediate, simple apprehension of an object, and its generic nature is unrelated to each other. पता नहीं रहता उसमें क्या क्या क्वालिटी है. It's a direct sense experience, which is undifferentiated, non-relational. इसको नहीं पता रहता what it is. We find only certain visual sensations. So very beginning, we find there is something, it is indeterminate perception. Second moment, we find knowledge of object along with characteristics, that is well defined, that is determinate perception. Take help of printed notes in process of writing this three things. Note down, you will write this. See, Rimjim Chaturvedi. What does it is not associated with a name mean? See, here itself. See, when we find perception, very beginning, we find mere impression of object at our retina. So, that is unassociated with a name. We are not aware what it is called cow or what kind of object it is. If we are getting knowledge that this is a cow, this one is a white cow, it means you are getting knowledge. It means you are on here on this, you are able to determine. You are getting knowledge of object along with qualities. Then only you will able to associate name, its features, qualities, etc. Here, in first of all, indeterminate perception. This one is the first stage of our perception, where we find knowledge of object devoid of its qualities. We are unable to find what kind of qualities it has. First moment, there is something. Second moment, this is a white cow. So this is a white cow, sabvikalpak. Well defined now. And first moment, not associated with a name. You are not aware with its name and its features, qualities, etc. So, not associated with a name, it's the first stage of our perception. When we find knowledge of anything, very beginning, first moment, immediately perceived, immediate apprehension, that is known as nirvikalpak, not associated with a name. And once you are going to say that it is a cow, it means you are quite aware with its features also. That is well defined. The second moment here. First moment nirvikalpak, second moment later developed stage. And see here. You must be aware. These are not two types of perception. These are the two stages of the same perception. See here. There are two stages of perception. The first stage is known as nirvikalpak, first stage of indeterminate perception, and the second stage is known as sabvikalpak or determinate perception. In reality, both cannot be separated, but they can be distinguished in thought, because perception is a complex process with direct awareness cannot be really separable from rational. See. The difference can be clear from the example that when we see a white object at a distance and when it comes nearer to them, we see it as a white cow. So white cow ho gaya to determinate ho gaya. There is something, it means ki here you are unable to associate with the name. Here the earlier stage is indeterminate and the later one is determinate perception. The difference between, see, आपको कुछ दूर लगता है कि there is something but unable to find out what kind of feature it is, what its name. Second stage, yes, this is a cow. So first one is indeterminate, not associated with a name. Second stage, इस पे सवाल अभी तक बना नहीं है क्वेश्चन, इतना ये लेवल पे है ये सवाल ही नहीं बना है। कई बार टीचर अगर ठीक नहीं हो इंडियन फिलोसफी तो चेक करने में उनको दिक्कत हो जाएगी। पर अपना भी ठीक होना चाहिए ना, जो बना रहा वो अच्छा ठीक पकड़ हो तब वो इसको मेंटेन कर सकते हैं। What we see in first glance, that is nirvikalpak. Second stage, we find knowledge of object along with all its characteristics. मान लो आप शाम में जा रहे हो थोड़ा, and you are getting perception there is something, there is something, this is nirvikalpak, not associated with them. थोड़ा सा आगे बढ़े 2 कदम, this is a white cow. This one is determinate perception. So first stage, second developed stage should be clear. तो आप पहले ये तो समझ लो, पहले ये समझो, Buddhists have accepted only this perception as perception. Buddhists have accepted only nirvikalpak perception as perception by Buddhist. Buddhists have not accepted this one as perception. They have included this one in inference. इतना लिख लो आप. Buddhist philosophers have accepted only nirvikalpak perception as perception. क्योंकि वो हर एक ऑब्जेक्ट को एवरी मोमेंट चेंजेबल मानते हैं. They have accepted only indeterminate perception as perception. They have not accepted determinate perception as a form of perception. It is included in inference. लिख लेना अलग से स्टार देकर. Yes. Is it clear? Is it clear? पहले बोलो तो. Is it clear? सारे लोग बोलना चला एक बार की. लेवल देखो तो आप. रिमझिम चतुर्वेद. इज इट क्लियर? ये सब भागते हैं, पढ़ाने वाले भागते हैं ऐसी चीज़ों में. कभी कहीं पढ़ के देख लो, क्लास ऐसे टॉपिक में घुस के देखो क्या उनकी स्थिति है, क्या ओवरऑल लगातार गायब. आसान चीज़ों को ज़्यादा डिटेल में पढ़ाएगा. अब तो हमारे नोट्स और कई सारे वीडियोस आ गए हैं, धीरे धीरे कई सारे टीचर्स भी पढ़ रहे हैं तो क्लियर हो जाएगा उनका भी फंडा. इज इट क्लियर? टेक हेल्प ऑफ. अरे यहाँ क्लियर हो गया ना प्रिंटेड नोट से. They have accepted only, Buddhists have accepted only indeterminate perception as perception, and through this perception we find knowledge of swalakshana of object, swalakshana of object. And determinate perception is not accepted as a perception by Buddhism. It is included in inference, and through samanya, it is included in inference. We find samanya lakshana of object. Through this savikalpak, we find samanya lakshana of object. Through perception, we find swalakshana of object, and through inference, we find knowledge of samanya lakshana of object, along with all its characteristics. Along with characteristics, we find knowledge. This one is on the basis of inference. Perception, only indeterminate perception is perception. Buddhists have denied savikalpak perception as perception, included it in inference. Is it clear? Bolo, is it clear? Now next. Second one is classification or ordinary perception. When the sense organs come into contact with the object in usual way, it is known as लौकिक. Usual way or in ordinary way. Usual way or ordinary way. लौकिक. And see. When in this type of perception, man come into contact with the physical states and process like cognition. अच्छा ठीक है. लौकिक में देखो, ये लौकिक स्ट्रेट फॉरवर्ड है, ज्यादा प्रॉब्लम. When sense organs come into contact with the object in unusual way or extraordinary way, it is known as extraordinary perception. कितना आसान है. Taking help of printed notes. An extraordinary perception is of three types. सामान्य लक्षण, इस पे 4-5 बार सवाल आ चुके. Already they have asked 4-5 types. और इसको स्टार दे लो. फर्स्ट वन पॉसिबल टू आस्क सेपरेटली. इसको ठीक से कर लेना है. सामान्य लक्षण डायरेक्ट क्वेश्चन मिल सकता है. एंड इवन गो थ्रू दिस वन माइन्यूटली. दो को ठीक से चलो. ये तो 2 लाइन 1 लाइन लिख दोगे बहुत है. बट ज्ञान लक्षण एंड सामान्य लक्षण गो थ्रू इन डिटेल. सामान्य लक्षण, थ्रू दिस वी फाइंड नॉलेज ऑफ सामान्य. And through this Gyan Lakshana perception, we become able to explain either basically. Nyayikas explain illusion taking help of this Gyan Lakshana perception. And you must be aware. Taking help of Samanya Lakshana perception, Vyapti relation is explained by Nyayikas. And the Samanya Lakshana perception, Pratyaksh was refuted by Charvaka. That's why they have refuted Vyapti. Charvakas have refuted this Samanya Lakshana perception. And that's why they refuted Vyapti. And taking help of such kind of perception to explain the knowledge of Samanya universal and Vyapti relation, Nyaya philosophers have accepted Samanya Lakshana perception. So taking help of Samanya Lakshana perception, you can defend Vyapti. Refuting Samanya Lakshana perception, Charvakas have rejected Vyapti. This one is written here. And Gyan Lakshana perception, it will be more clear when I will discuss error, theory of error. So taking help of Gyan Lakshana perception, illusion is explained. Illusion. Ice looks cold. Stone looks hard. Through perception, you can't find knowledge of hardness. But possible through perception, possible to find knowledge of hardness through perception. It's a kind of Gyan Lakshana perception. Our sense organs provides knowledge of another sense organ. Ice looks cold. Its coldness we find through skin, through tactual perception. But on the basis of perception, we are getting knowledge of cold. Basically, we find knowledge of cold through skin. Yes or no? But here, through perception, we are getting knowledge of cold. Ice looks cold. It means that here, through perception, we are getting knowledge of skin basically. Through eyes, you are getting knowledge of skin. Cold is a subject matter of skin. Touch करोगे तब ना ठंडा पता चलेगा. And you are getting knowledge of coldness taking help of perception. It's a kind of Gyan Lakshana perception. So taking help of printed notes, you will write these three. इतना मतलब इधर में योगज में just 1 line sufficient है. 2 line, 1 line, that's all. First 2 you have to be aware. And here written Buddhism also. तो ये एक नया सवाल बन सकता है. Perception, Nyaya, Buddhism controversy. You will go through that one minutely. If you will find any problem, I will discuss this one tomorrow. वो अलग से देख लेंगे. I have not discussed उपमान प्रमाण so far. I have not discussed उपमान so far. Agrasar Raj. Clear? So tomorrow I will discuss the remaining parts. Thank you. Tomorrow. थोड़ा ज़्यादा heavy type से मिल जाएगा उसका भी उत्तर. You will go through that one. You will note down Saman Lakshana and Gyan Lakshana, Yoga's perception. 2-3 लाइंस एंड हाउ बुद्धिस्ट कंपेरिजन, इस पे नया क्वेश्चन बन सकता है. Nowhere so far debate between Nyaya and Buddhism regarding perception. Question possible. ये सब थोड़ा अलग लेवल टच करता है. और यूनिवर्सिटी में जब डिपार्टमेंट में पीजी क्लासेज होती हैं या फिर जो स्पेशल किसी ने पेपर ले रखा हो न्याय फिलोसफी, तो उस समय खूब इस पे एक एक टर्म पे लंबी चर्चा हो जाती है कि वाचस्पति ने क्या कहा, वात्स्यायन ने क्या कहा रिगार्डिंग डेफिनेशन ऑफ परसेप्शन. तो उस वैसा डिटेल भी नहीं चाहिए. मैंने जो एकदम जो रिलेवेंट एस्पेक्ट्स है, आई हैव जस्ट एक्सप्लेन दोज थिंग्स एंड दैट विल बी सफिशिएंट. उतना ही नहीं कर पाते हैं लोग. तो जस्ट गो थ्रू दैट वन. ऑल दोज थिंग्स आर हियर सिस्टमेटाइज्ड इन अ प्रॉपर मैनर. ठीक है. टुमारो आई विल डिस्कस रिमेनिंग एस्पेक्ट. टुमारो हम लोग एबल टू कंप्लीट दिस न्याय फिलॉसफी. We have already discussed 2 days. Inference is one of them. Inference we have discussed a lot even in Nyaya philosophy, in Charvaka philosophy. So it will be easy to understand inference. Go through types of perception, especially this one, and also you will write Nirvikalpak and Sabvikalpak and extraordinary perception, Sammanya Lakshana, Gyan Lakshana and Yoga. Any problem I will discuss tomorrow. Thank you. Clear?